Speaking of a game starting 7:30 tonight at State Farm Arena is going down with the Hawks taking on the Celtics. Actually, for the first time this season. And Jarvis, to me, being that they are the team with the best record in the NBA, and some will say even playing the best in the NBA, I think this is a perfect time for the Hawks to be tested because guess what? Clint Capella, Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter had arguably their best games individually and then collectively of the season when they beat the Bucks on Monday. So I'm excited about the possibilities of what could happen tonight. Let's take Trae, for example. Let's start with him first, right?
Mm-hmm.
21 points, shot 40% from three, and he had 9 assists against the Bucks. So I'm looking and going, I think Ice might be back. I think we got this eye contusion thing in check.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you think about, he's the guy that stirs the drink, right? When it comes to the Atlanta Hawks, I know a lot of people may want to make a case for DeJounte Murray. I get it and all that, yeah. But Trey's that dude. He's the guy that needs to get it going. And the thing about it is, what kind of tells you some different things about this team and how it's built differently. And Hawks fans should be very excited about this. While he was shooting terribly, still 9-5
Yep.
and third in the Eastern Conference. So,
Yes, you are.
like, all right, okay, we let Trey figure it out. Yeah, figure it out, Trey. We're still getting these dubs. So that's the thing that kind of makes me feel good about it. And coming into the game against the Boston Celtics, this is going to be something that is going to be kind of like be a little litmus test. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We talked about how big that Raptors game is and how am I on that game. This is going to
Yeah.
be a big one too. These are two games that I think we're going to get a pretty good idea of how the Hawks are gonna go. I know the 20 games is the solid number that everybody kind of throws out as to who you are as a team, but I think certain matchups are definitely indicators as to where this team is in 2022 and 23 season.
Yeah, and what a great point you just made because we all had said around that 20 game mark is where we were going to really start to see and evaluate if they are where we think they are. I think Jarvis, they're kind of ahead of the curve a little bit because they showed us that in game 14 on Monday. So again, I think that's something to be very encouraged about. And the other piece you mentioned is this. Now, Trey shot 40% from three on Monday, but we know that not only has Trey had struggles from the 3-point line, but the team has had struggles from three as well. However, one area where they have not is points in the paint. They are getting
Yes.
to the rim. They are being aggressive. And a lot of that starts and stops, just like the 36 points they had in the paint first half Monday. That's with Clint Capella. So if that three ball isn't going, and I'm looking at what CC is doing and even double O and company, I think that they're in prime position, that front court, to really show what they're made of against the likes of Grant Williams and Al Horford.
And then when you think about it too, like because Trae Young is in the tops in the league, in the top 5 in the league as far as free throw attempts, and that kind of speaks to what you just talked about, right? Getting into the paint and getting
Yes.
to the free throw line because if the referees are going to call the foul, I'm not sitting up here saying all of them are legit on Trae Young, but if they're going to call it, well, dog it, you need to take advantage, and I absolutely love that because when you think about Trey be able to get into the lane and the pick and roll that we've seen with Clint Capella, that seems to be back and in full
Yeah.
effect. So I
Yeah.
think those are some of the things that kind of gets you excited as far as how this team and his makeup. Because even though Trey has been struggling, he's still been effective. And
Yes.
like getting
Yes.
to that free throw line, that absolutely adds to the pot as far as what this team is going to look like tonight against the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, and I still feel like as soon as they get their rhythm, this is a team that's committed to defense, right? And
Right.
I feel like as soon as they begin to get that rhythm and then they get Bogdanovich back, you're going to see those numbers change up a little bit. And I think too, this is a team that we always wanted, like, how many times was it like scratching lay your fingers down the chalkboard when they would just heave up a three last year? I mean, it
Yes.
was absolutely agitating.
Right.
This year, they're at least being more careful and more calculated about when they are going to shoot from deep. So I'm perfectly okay with how this is going. And then this is the other piece. Not that you want to flip everything around all the time, but if we got to flip something around, I like these numbers. Yes, your offensive efficiency rating might be 18th, kind of middle of the road. And they were, of
Right.
course,
Yeah. Middle of
always
the
like
pack.
number
Yeah.
one last year in offensive efficiency rating. However, That defensive efficiency rating has continued to climb. They are now in the top third of the league. So I will take that because I do believe this team, if it commits to defensive efficiency, their offense is going to catch up. And why do I think that? Because we see things like we saw out of DeAndre Hunter. We know this guy can give us two-way play all day, every day, and we hope we're going to get it. But even if we don't, I like the fact that you can go here, there to any one of those players and get it from either end of the court on any given night. So tonight's a little interesting because you know that he is probably going to have to put a body on Jason Tatum, right? And
Indeed.
Jason Tatum has been playing lights out, but which Dre, if you didn't get him two-way, do you want scoring Dre with 24 points and 3 rebounds, or do you want Jason Tatum stopping Dre, who will get like 5, 7, 8 rebounds, a couple steals, some assists in there? Which Dre do you think is going to be more effective
Ooh.
with what the Hawks need to do tonight?
That's a good question because when you think about like a lot of people, a lot of times it's very hard to stop. Excuse me, superstars in the NBA, right? But the thing that can help slow them down
Mm-hmm.
is making them play defense. So if I can get scoring Dre with a solid defensive Dre as
Yeah.
far as getting involved in making steals and all that stuff and getting
Mm-hmm.
involved because whoever is guarding DeAndre Hunter, whether that be Jaylen Brown or Jason
Mm-hmm.
Tatum,
Right.
that's the benefit of having wings because Lord, the
Mm-hmm.
more wings you have in today's game, the better. And I think so. I think that wherever Dre makes Jason Tatum play defense and
Mm-hmm.
make him work on defensively, I think that's going to be the Dre that I want because
Yeah.
we all know how it goes down in the NBA. Most of the time, guys gonna get buckets. They're gonna
Yeah.
get their buckets, and
Right.
Jason Tatum is gonna get buckets. And
Mm-hmm.
but I think that what help kind of slight that up a little bit is the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you're making them work on the defensive side of the back of the court, and I think that the Hawks can do that. They
Yeah.
have the lineup to do that this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that's going to be the difference in the outcome of the game tonight.
Yeah, especially if you get down to the fourth quarter and you've had them running all up and down the court, running after you. And it's funny you mentioned that because Coach Nate, of course, was with our friends Andy and Randy
Indeed.
yesterday, and he said that very thing. Like, look, I want us to get after defensively, but I also want to make that other team work because we're doing what we're supposed to do offensively, and they have to come for us. And then the other thing that you just said that I thought was interesting, and it made me think of DeJounte Murray. He's like, I'm gonna say a half a wing, right? Because he plays the two, but the dude
Yeah,
has a wingspan of like 6'10".
no
So
doubt. Yeah,
when
like
you got a wingspan like that, you
yes.
could obviously guard Jaylen Brown. But if you need to kind of swing over and give a little bit of support for DeAndre Hunter as far as Jason Tatum goes, you can do that. And of course, he's like the steals king with like he's number 2 in the league in steals. So be very, very careful. You know, the Celtics, the one Achilles heel of theirs is that darn ball handling. So that's what I like about DeJounte Murray because we're like, oh, okay, you guys having a little trouble with your ball handling? We got somebody who likes to pickpocket. So that might
Yes,
just work
indeed.
out. But in the general scheme of things, I think the other piece there is this. You mentioned it. This is a quick 2-game homestand. Celtics tonight, Raptors Saturday, and Raptors might be our 1A. I think we agreed yesterday. Celtics are 1B as far as which game is more important. But twist that question ever so slightly. And my thought is this: what does a win mean against the Celtics for the Hawks? What does it mean if they take the L tonight?
To be honest with you, I think we can have our answer on both results because
Yep.
like what I expect the Hawks to do is come out and play like they did against the Milwaukee Bucks. If they
Agreed.
play against they can play like they played against the Milwaukee Bucks and still lose. That's a
Mm-hmm.
possibility, big
Mm-hmm.
time. Because when you think about Milwaukee, with the roster and Drew Holiday being out and not having one
Mm-hmm.
of their superstars, so to speak, I think that you can understand the dynamics of the game and how it can play out that way.
Yes.
But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for them to play team basketball.
Yeah.
How they play is not necessarily all about the end result with me. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about how they play because
Right.
we know they look terrible against the Toronto Raptors. Those guys,
Yes.
everybody was out there hooping, and I just don't want to. As long as I don't see that, I think I'll be fine either way,
Mm-hmm.
win or lose. Obviously, I want them to get dubbed, but
Yeah.
I'm looking for a good team basketball, and I think that'll tell me exactly what I need to know about
Yeah.
this Atlanta Hawks team early on in the season.
Agreed, agreed. And JC, John Collins will need you to kind of step up. We saw a good game. I thought it was a good, well-rounded game against the Bucks as well.
Yeah.
And one more area where we need folks to step up is the bench, because the Celtics have one of the deepest benches in all of the NBA, but the Hawks have a solid bench as well. All they need to do from Jalen Johnson on through to AJ Griffin and all points in between is everybody just needs to show up and do their part. And then, you know what, Jarvis, if they can do that, I am confident and I feel good about what the Hawks can do as long as they're right there with them in the fourth quarter. If they're not outright leading, be right there with the Celtics in the fourth quarter. Now, listen, we told you guys this is a big game. I think it's a big game for the Celtics too, because they're going to continue to be tested by how deep the Eastern Conference is. But if you want to hear about this game or any big game in the association, of course, after you hear us talk about it here on ATL Day Ones, check out Locked On Sports Today, because they will hit you with the news of the biggest games of the day. So they'll give you their instant reaction to it. They'll talk about the implications of who won and who lost. You can get it all there. And listen, you guys love For the Culture. We know you're going to love the segment today, especially, but they have their own segment, their own version called Take of the Day. So check that out as well. And listen, you guys check us out on your Odyssey app. You check us out at YouTube, and you check us out wherever you download your podcast. Do the same. You do not want to miss out on Locked On Sports Today. Hey, every now and again, you might see one of these familiar faces like Jarvis's show up over there giving some instant reaction as well. So check them out, Locked On Sports Today.